Relationships. Relationships I've learned about the hard way. And it was actually really funny how diving into this, I had a deep conversation with my love. And then I was also just like the Facebook feed was just going around and around and around in circles until I got super, super clear about what I'm going to share with you. Because I want to share with you from a new perspective, from a perspective of something that's just a little bit different. Let me jump up here. A little bit different than most people come from. And I want to share with you from my heart and my experiences and allow for an opening to happen in your heart. Because I think relationship is one of the most precious gifts that we have for one another. It's one of our, it's mandatory. We are community people. We are tribal people. Back in the day, we were in tribes. This is why we have cultures. This is why we have faith. This is why we have everything, so we can truly just be in this deeper awareness of how to live. And I don't like the light is like shining this here in my eyes, and my eyes don't look like that. Anywho, relationship is truly important. I talked about it today earlier. I was just giving thanks, so much gratitude this morning for all of you showing up and sharing this and saying yes to your own awareness and sharing my stuff and saying yes to these classes and these events and everything that are happening. So I love that you're here, that you're in a relationship with me, right? And I hope to be in a relationship with you. And to form this relationship and the importance of relationship, we comment. So if you are watching this, even if you watch the replay, please tell me by just telling me your name and where you're from in the comments below. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to coach you in this and to share with you personal stuff that in your personal life and help you work through things in relationship through this dialogue, if that's something that you want to. That's why I give my time. My time is precious, just like yours is. And this content has been a lifetime for me. Like most of this content I have spent learning about through my own relationships, and also through certifications and lessons in everything from childhood psychology to marriage psychology to trauma therapy and sexual awakening to understanding the dynamics of spirituality and our masculine and feminine energies. And we're going to dive into a bit of all of that today, because I want you to leave this class with a deeper awareness in how you can show up in a relationship, in your highest relationships, and feel really confident in who you are and take it to that next level, and have some healing. I really hope that there's some massive healing that happens in this class as well for you. And that's my intention for this class. So if you are here, let me know that you are here. That feeds my soul. If this inspires you, or if you're like, yes, and you know somebody that you want to share it with, please feel free to share this with the world. If this is something that you want to share on your page and share publicly, you have my permission to do that as well. This is not secret. I'm doing it live for a reason. So all my flub ups and mess ups and adjustments, all that stuff can happen. So we're going to talk about how to boost your relationships. We're going to talk about the #1 shift that you can make to improve your relationship that most coaches aren't talking about. And I'm going to walk you through that shift today. And through that, we are going to just continue to dive deeper together, in awareness. All right, so let's dive in. Let's get started. I've seen some people on, but I'm not seeing the comments, so I don't know if you're on another page. But if you are watching live and maybe you're on my personal page or my my public figure page, my Alicia Antica author page, please jump over and go to Your Own University so I can see your comments, so we can interact and have a relationship, because that's what this is all about. All right, so the first thing that I want to really address is that you're coming to a relationship fully you. And we talked about the parts of yourself that is really mandatory for you to understand, for you to define, for you to express from your own perspective, from that central channel. So you're showing up fully in your body, taking full responsibility for your own health and well-being. Now, that doesn't mean that shit doesn't happen, right? We get sick and we get thrown off board and all this stuff. But that means that when things happen, like, you take full responsibility for yourself. It means that you take full responsibility for your thoughts. That doesn't mean that we can't point out each other's like blocks and stops and help each other through those blocks and stops. It just means that when you hear an aha, you're willing to look at it and go, oh yeah, that is a blocking, limiting belief system of mine. Oh, whoa, I am projecting from that place of old understanding. Thank you for the love. And really walking through that. So coming from that place of mentally taking full responsibility for your thoughts, your belief systems, your past, and your projected future. Taking full responsibility for your emotional state, right? So often I hear, oh, I just want to be happy. And that's great. I just want to be happy. But we look outside for this happy, and happy doesn't happen outside. We also project this blaming and gaming thing by, oh, they're not happy and they're depressed and they're blame, right? Where we project our emotions onto somebody else, and we're not happy because they're not happy, or we're down because they're down. Or we get pissed off with them because we're down that day, because we have permission to be down, right? But we're down that day and they're happy. Hey, so there's this like weird dynamic of interplay, and we'll talk more about the masculine and feminine, because that's the basis of that dynamic that is so pivotal to understand in order to take full responsibility for yourself. And then the other place that we don't know enough about, and I talked about yesterday in yesterday's masterclass, is that etheric realm, where we're picking up on each other's stuff, where we take responsibility for other people's stuff without knowing it. So understanding what's theirs and what's yours as an empath, as an energetic being, as energy in motion, is so important for us to know how to decipher and know how to work through, so we know what's ours and what's theirs. And we can really honor each other's space. And from that place, we can take full responsibility for who we are, and also really hold space for the other person in relationship to do that for themselves without blame, shame, and guilt. Because blame, shame, and guilt block growth in any relationship. And blame, shame, guilt, and fear are the lower dimensional frequencies that really get us into anger, disconnect, discord, separation, jealousy, insecurity, and all those other upper kind of level, mid-level emotions that create tension, where then we start playing games with one another, not fun games, not enlivening games, but like testing, right? Testing and not knowing and being resentful. And that blocks us from what we all truly desire. And that is a deep connection. That is deep understanding. That is a safe container for us to explore and be in. And so having that safe container is extremely important. And we create that by taking full responsibility for ourselves and knowing ourselves on each of these levels. So looking at yourself on each of these levels, which is something that I absolutely offer in my Amazing You program. It's something that you'll learn if you come to the holistic coaching program. And it is something that we dive into deeper in all of holistic medicine. So you can do this for yourself, absolutely. You don't need anybody to do it. Just really begin to explore those dynamics of yourself so you can come wholly as a whole person into all of your relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, acquaintanceship, or something that's higher in like your more than acquaintance, like maybe a boss or an employee or those kind of relationships. Very important to understand yourself in order so you're showing up as yourself. And you can also sense when you have that discord, like, ooh, I didn't act like me. Because when we get into precious relationship with somebody else and that we start exchanging that energy, we start really enmeshing and becoming a unified unit, a friendship. Like me and my best friend, and actually it's really funny because now I'm noticing a lot of my best friends that I didn't even recognize, we say anywho, right? Instead of anyhow, this is happening, and anyhow, that's happening. Like we say anywho. And Shannon and I have been doing that for forever. There's also other things that we do very, very similarly. We also can think a certain thing and think it at the same time, right? So there's a connectiveness that happens when you're having intimate relationships. And when you're having a sexual relationship, which I just want to talk about for a second, because it's really important to understand. And I think it's something that we need to teach our youth, that when you're having a sexual relationship, well, as soon as that combination comes together, we literally exchange energies. We create a unified web, a cord, right? So it's very important to clean those cords up, to work on that etheric level and clean those cords up when you separate from somebody sexually. Because, and with women, when we take a man on and into us and physically take his sperm into us, then there is a connection that literally connects to our limbic brain, and we embody that person. And you can work with your limbic brain, you can work with that, but you will take on pieces of that person's personality. And like it's really funny because my man now, like I'm starting to think in different phrases. Like he says fucking right. And I was like, I never said fucking right. And now I'm like, fucking right. And I'm thinking it consciously. And it took a couple weeks that I was like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do this. No, 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 no. But it was so prevalent. And it just like, the more I fought it, what you resist persists. The more I fought it, the more it was like, oh. And now it's just like, every time I say it, it's like, oh, right. Okay. But it's a conscious decision where when we're having close relationships with people, it's like we're there with them. We become them. Have you ever hung out with a woman a lot? For women to women, have you ever hung out with a girlfriend a lot and then all of a sudden your cycles, right? Your cycles infuse. There's a powerful energy and like that alpha female energy, whatever that means, like you sync up with that energy. It's so amazing how we sink into that energy. This is interdynamics of relationship. And it's really important to understand that we all are one. We're all individual cells working together in a huge body, right? And you can look at it from a religious standpoint, you can look at it from whatever, but we are all connected. And this connection is the most important thing in life. Connection, there's been massive studies done that when we, when you jump on, please say hi. So there's this massive connection that when we communicate, like saying hi over internet and stuff, we connect and then we receive more energy from one another. We receive more connection. But there's studies done that says that to cure addiction, all right, addiction, the biggest cure that we can do is build community. That's the foundation of NA and AA and all this stuff. When I was working in addiction counseling, like I learned this, and it's just so amazing that the biggest thing that we can do together is come together to be in community, to share with one another, to have interaction with one another. And I believe that that interaction can be on the internet, as long as we interact, as long as we say, yes, I'm here, and we tell each other, we inform each other, we consciously engage with one another in a way that is supportive and loving, the whole world will change. We will transform the world amazingly, hugely. And when we show up fully as ourselves, those other 4 sheaths that I talked about, and then even deeper into that soul level that I'll go deeper into in the holistic coaching certification training, this free training I'm doing, if this is something that interests you, even knowing about like holistic coaching. Even if you're slightly interested, you've been thinking about becoming a coach, or you're a therapist or a coach and you want, or they're a hairdresser, right? You can learn about this. Go ahead and jump into that training. The link is above. So knowing this is really big. So that's the first thing I want to talk about in this masterclass is we are a whole unit. You have a responsibility to know and own yourself and be able to separate what is you and what is them, what is other people. And that way we don't suck each other's energy. We're not energy vampires. We can really take responsibility as we really incorporate each other's things, like we sync up in cycles, or we start thinking the same way somebody does, or we just connect with one another. We start sharing dreams with each other. It's friggin' cool. It's really, really cool. And we can just have fun with it. We can form deeper relationships. So the next thing I want to talk about that is really, really important and really goes along with this is boundaries. So boundaries is something that has gotten a bad name, but boundaries is something that's very misunderstood. And in each and every one of my clients that come to me and they want to heal a relationship, or they want to heal their past, they want to heal their history, their childhood, so they can have better sex, or they can have a better relationship. And a lot of my clients come with me to either coming out of a relationship and wanting to form a relationship with themselves, or wanting to find their soulmate, wanting to find their twin flame, wanting to find that deeper connection. And so after having this awareness of who you are, thank you, Jeff, having that relationship with who you are, you also have a relationship with how you, what you want. Right? So you know who you are and how you want to take care of yourself and everything. Then you know what you want. And when you know what you want, you can set boundaries for yourself. And boundaries are very misunderstood. So I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I help my coaches learn how to help their clients really set boundaries for themselves by understanding your requirements and what you'll tolerate, and then understanding where that line is in the sand for yourself. And those lines, those most important lines to understand is like, where's your line for your fitness? So, or where's your line for your health and well-being? So for me, like I learned this line through a relationship. Oh my gosh, it was so funny because I mean, I will love Ron for the rest of my life. He showed me what love and respect and truly being cherished is, and what it looks like after I was coming out of my marriage. So I want to just give huge props for this man. However, he was so unhealthy physically in one area. He just drank the soda pop. Anyway, I just understood that his relationship with aspartame and my understanding of what it does with the body, and my passion about health and fitness and how he lived, like it couldn't work because I had this much tolerance for it. And I tried to tolerate it more. I tried to go against myself so much. I tried to be like this accepting, loving person. And in the end, it was just like, nope, like I can't tolerate that. This is something that passes my boundary of toleration. And since it's something that was unwilling to change, that I know would affect his health for the rest of his life, I couldn't be in the relationship. And that was really hard for me to admit, that stupid little thing about health and wellness is aspartame was my breaking point. But it was, because it blocked me from loving him, because I couldn't look and support that behavior and know that he was just consciously killing himself and choosing that. So it was a really big deal. So it's kind of a silly thing, but it blocked that connection, and that was a boundary of mine. So now I have these conversations with the people that I date. I have the conversations with, like, how do you feel about your health? Where are you with your fitness? What does that look like with you? How can you handle my celiacs and me not eating gluten? And what's that going to look like for you? And making sure that we can have that respect and commonality in how we take care of ourselves. Okay, so knowing that for yourself and what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate is extremely important. Now, is it his job to change for my boundaries? Hell no. It's not. It's my job to hold those boundaries. And oftentimes boundaries are extremely misunderstood. And I have my clients come to me often in the beginning of our sessions and they say, well, Antico or Lisha, this is what happened. Like they crossed my boundary. And I was like, excellent. So what was your boundary? Well, I told him to, let me think of an example. I told him to take that I would really appreciate it if he took the dishes to the dishwasher or something like that, right? I told him blah, 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 and he didn't do it. And I'm like, no, that's not a boundary. That is a request. A boundary is if you don't do your own dishes, this can be for children too. If you don't do your own dishes, then the dishes are going to stack up. And how I'm going to handle that is I'm going to do this for kids because I think this would be a different conversation in a relationship with your man or with your woman. But I'm going to take away your privilege for this and that, right? So you have the power, you have the control to set that boundary and then follow through with something that's going to truly honor you, right? If you talk to me this way, then I'm going to react this way. So another way to really set really healthy boundaries is to look up nonviolent communication. It totally changed my life. About 10, 15 years ago, I started, well, in 2010, I really got into nonviolent communication and how to communicate this way. It's a specific formula. And so if you haven't looked at it, it's all over YouTube. Totally learn from it. I teach my coaches how to utilize it. It is really important. And you can utilize this to communicate your boundaries with people so they can hear and so that you know that you're here, you are heard, because we always hear through our own filter. And our filter is that subconscious, unconscious memory I talked about before, that when you don't understand your own filter, when you haven't looked at your past, your history, and where you're coming from, then you're kind of trying to come from where everybody else comes from. And that's impossible. And so it's very challenging to hear one another. And what we want most in a relationship, and give me a yes if you agree, is to be understood. Right? To be heard, to be understood. However, we're all listening from our own filters. So understand that you're listening from your filter, they're listening from their filter. So asking for that clarification of, when you did this, I felt this way. It would really honor me if you did this instead. Can you hear me? What did you hear? How did you understand that? Right? And then they say, well, you said when I did this, you felt this way, and this is how I understand it. Am I hearing you? And you can say, yeah, you heard me perfectly. And thank you so much for hearing me. Or you say, no, you misunderstood me a little bit. I'm not trying to be defensive. I really just need this filled for me. I need this emotion. I need this filled for me. You can provide for me. You can help me. You can love me this way where I can receive it. Right. So this is so important in boundary setting. And it's so important to learn how to ask for what we need. But before we can ask for what we need to know what we need, and we need to understand our own history and where we're coming from. So that's what holistic coaching and relationships really tackle and really go into. But that's not the number one shift that you can improve in your relationships to really make them great and grand. So let's dive into the number one shift. Are you guys ready? If you are here with me, tell me that you're here with me. I see your hearts. I see your love. I see some people on here, but I don't know who you are. So let's form a relationship. Join in this relationship with me. Say yes to this lesson and this class, and let me know that you're here. And if I'm not seeing, if you've said it and you're like, oh, she's not seeing this, please jump on over to Your Own University and communicate with the live over there, because it just might be how it's all connected, but I really do want to be in relationship with you, have this understanding and know that you're understanding me. And it fills me up with love and light. And it fills me up with an awareness that what I'm doing is of value and how I'm showing up is workable. And so it allows me to know that I should show up more like this later and that you are receiving. So thank you so much for that. And let's dive into receiving now. Let's dive into receiving. Let's dive into the dynamic that really is going to shift and improve every one of your relationships. And that is the dynamic of your personal masculine and feminine. Your personal masculine and feminine. This is your personal twin flame. This is the twin flame within you. So I hear a lot, oh, I met my twin flame or I want to be with my twin flame. And it's like this karmic thing that happens. And I'm just like, it doesn't sound like a twin flame. That sounds like a soulmate relationship because it's all karmic. A twin flame relationship is going to bring up this balance of masculine and feminine in you so you can understand your masculine and your feminine side. And then it's this ultimate unity. And I can go deeper, and I'll go deeper into relationship coaching with masculine and feminine, and definitely in twin flame and soulmate relationships in the holistic training. But for now, I just want you to know, if you're looking for that soulmate relationship, it is going to grow you in a way that is truly purifying for your soul. It might trigger some things in you. It's going to up-level you in a way. And if you're looking for that twin flame relationship, or you're blessed to have that twin flame relationship, it is going to really show up to allow you to have a deeper relationship with yourself and your soul from a mirrored perspective and from a polarity perspective. And then once you have done the inner work on yourself, then from what I understand, it really shows up as this unification of a complete balance within yourself. And there's no hierarchy. All kinds of relationships are here to serve us and love us, but to understand yourself and come wholly as yourself into a relationship is the highest service that you can give to anyone, whether it's your boss, your employee, your best friend, a total acquaintance, your lover, your ex, your friend, right? So let's talk about how this balancing and this understanding of your masculine and feminine is going to bring you into deeper relationship, and what the masculine and feminine is, because it's the biggest gift that I can give you in this relationship topic. And I want to talk a little bit about the trauma that we put through of the masculine and feminine. And so we can stop blocking one another, so we can really start honoring one another. And when we're in these spaces, because we all are beginning to, there was this big shift that happened. It really began happening in the early 1900s, and it's amplified, and it kind of hit a peak in the 1960s, early 1970s. And there was this big shift that happened. And then we're coming back from an imbalance right now. But we had to rise all the way up and then realize that and come back. So I hope that this helps you to come back both internally in your personal relationship with your masculine and feminine, which is going to allow you to show up as that internal twin flame of self and that whole soul within you. Oh, my heart just like, ooh, boom. I felt that, boom. It was like a lock. It's so funny. It was like locked together in a beautiful way, like two keys coming together. And I feel this opening happening right now. I'm going to breathe into that for a minute so you can come into that, right? So we are discussing this connection with the etheric realm and where you're at. And so you can really honor one another as whole selves. So the true feminine for me, my journey with understanding the true feminine began with my cancer, when well, probably before that with my abuse, but it was the polarity, the negativity, the disempowerment of the divine feminine, the feminine that happened with my sexual abuse and my abuse as a child, when I was literally raised to be seen and not heard, to be an object and be objectified. And that is the disempowerment. That is the part of the divine feminine that is blocking, that we are hurting, that has been in so much pain for so many millennia, that we blocked, that we had that shift in the 1900s, in the early 1900s, and we've been really, really escalating and healing that by stepping into our divine feminine and our divine masculine, creating this twin flame effect within ourselves. Since then, as a world, right, as all of the world. So the divine men are beautiful, amazing. I want to honor you, love you, masculine, my brothers. Like, I'll get to that in a minute, but oh my gosh, I love you so much. So please don't take this as in any defense or defensively or anything. Know that you are honored and loved, and I'm going to be there for you and with you in just a second. But there's been a discord of the divine masculine, the masculine within us, that is a beautiful, beautiful, I mean, necessary piece of all of us, but it has been overpowered, over worshipped, over, and really used to abuse. And so as that divine masculine comes back into their divinity, the divine feminine has had to step up, and we have kind of counterbalanced that, and we've gone into our own place of the divine feminine abusing and really objectifying and kind of playing on our divine masculine, but in a feminine way. And I'll get to that in a minute, because it's really manipulative and it's really fucked up, and our misuse of power is just as bad as their misuse of power. But that said, we've come up into this. So I'm going to talk about that misuse of power, and then I'm going to talk about the divine feminine and how you can stop blocking one another, how we can really honor this, how we can come back into receptivity, how we can come back into our hormones being balanced, how we can come back into receiving fully, how we can come back into more ease in our lives, how we can come back into feeling our men fully supporting us, and all of this, and the beauty that we're here to do. Because since the 1990s, I believe there was another shift about the end of 1990, 2000, and again in 2012, where the divine feminine has really pushed forward. So we're standing up for the divine masculine, we're standing up for the divine feminine, and the disempowered, the faux masculine, this faux feminine is being outed. We're being aware of it. So I'm talking now, I'm going to talk just briefly about the faux masculine and the faux feminine, how they show up and how to recognize them in themselves. And I'm not talking about genetics. And I think this is one reason why the gender bending is happening so prevalently right now. So we can understand that this is not gender related. We can understand the divine masculine and feminine in this relationship beyond gender, because we all have divine masculine, we all have divine feminine, and we all have this egoic faux masculine and faux feminine that, when we don't recognize, causes havoc, discord, pain, and suffering. And it's up to us to step back into our divinity and really claim who we are, and know when we're in our divine masculine, know when we're in our masculine and feminine, and really honor each other in that dance, and also know our own personal set point. And I believe that's what I'm going to give you today, is a way to muscle test and to understand your own frequency. Because when you embody it and you understand it, you will attract your soulmate, your twin flame, and they will have matching frequencies. So if you're like 80% feminine and 20% in your masculine and normal operating functions, you'll attract something that's 80% in their masculine and 20% in their feminine. And you can swap each other to really support each other when you're in relationship, right? And if you have this conscious understanding, and you can do it from a conscious state, your relationships are going to blossom. And if you're a boss and you can understand this about your employees, if you're a manager and you can understand this about your employees, if you're a friend and you can understand this about your friend, then you are going to, I mean, so much joy, so much more ease, so much more honoring, so much more awareness in what's happening. So the faux feminine first. The faux feminine shows up two different ways because there's always polarity. Polarity is a law that we work with, and we're also working with a law of gender. So the faux feminine shows up as weak, needy, critical, overbearing, and it also shows up as like too much in their masculine. So it shows up like demonstrating all of the faux masculine qualities. So if you recognize these faux masculine qualities in yourself, this is also your faux feminine, especially if you are, if you genetically have a brain, a feminine brain, and you have feminine hormones. So you have estrogen, high levels of estrogen in your body, an estrogen drenched brain and ovaries and cervix and all the stuff that works with estrogen, then you are naturally more feminine in nature. Now, yes, today we have this whole gender thing and you can take more testosterone. You can wash your own brain with more estrogen. We can do all of this. So yeah, we can mess with this and this can shift. But either way, like you're going to naturally have a genetic predisposition to be more masculine or more feminine. So when we're showing up in our faux, we tend to be more angry, defensive, our cortisol levels are high, our stress levels are high. We cannot receive. It's really challenging for us as women to get our point across, to be heard. We gain weight more easily. It's hard to get pregnant. All those things, our periods are off, all those things happen. All right. So this is just ways for you to know that you're operating from overrun faux feminine. And I'm going to talk about the faux first, then let me see if that's how I should teach it. So tell me yes if this is resonating with you. I still can't see any comments, so I don't know. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about the faux feminine, and then I'm going to talk about how it shows up in relationship. Then I'm going to talk about the divine feminine. Then we're going to switch and I'm going to talk about the masculine. So we're going to go like this, and then we're going to go like this. Okay, so that's the faux feminine, and that's the havoc that it causes in your life. And you can recognize this. Now, men, you can have a faux feminine type too. Especially if you've been raised by a faux feminine power and they've demasculated you, or you married into somebody who demasculates you. This is how a lot of women since the 1960s have been taught. You know, we can keep up with the men, like men are weak, men are just, men need to feel, you need to cry more, you need to, like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you acting like a woman? We've kind of feminized our men and made them wrong for being men in a lot of ways. And it's really played against us, and it's played against the world, and it's really hurting our children. And then it's like confusing people. It's just being open to like just open to anything. There's no longer a respect for the feminine and the masculine. It's this unification piece that is happening that I think can work, but we do have to understand that we are both, and that there's an honor, that there's not good or bad, right? Because that's equally making somebody wrong. So we have over feminized our sons by not giving them responsibility, not teaching them how to be men. And so there's more and more people teaching about this, and I'm truly blessed for that. So let's go back into the faux feminine, and it shows up. So it shows up by demasculating men. It shows up by going into work and pushing, and then coming home and handling everything at home and doing everything yourself, and being that, you know, mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, and uncle, pleasing everybody, running on all cylinders, go woman, and forgetting how to be feminine. So let's talk about the divine feminine. Let's think about the divine feminine. I love the story of Esther. When talking about the divine feminine, Esther taught me so much. So did the Song of Songs. I know I learned a lot of my stuff from biblical stuff, but it's like they were the biggest shifts for me. I had such an issue. So there was the Queen's Code that I read, and I studied with Alison Armstrong and Kristen Sweeney Morelli, and we talk about in the red tent and Honey Borden in the red tent and all this stuff in like 2012, 2013, when I really was like, okay, my hormones are off. I am sick. My marriage is going to shit. I don't understand men. I don't understand myself. Tara Marino is another person. I spent a whole year studying the divine feminine with her, and really diving into the pleasure principle and how to be a woman, because I honestly didn't know. My mother was a go woman, very stern, very picky, very particular. Love you, Mom, but it's just the truth of who you are. We were talking about it at dinner last night, and she is now in her feminine, but it took her a long time to do it. And how she did get into her feminine is she'd play helpless. She'd get around a man. She'd be like, I don't know how to do it, when she like did it 10 minutes ago. And it was so annoying. And it's been beautiful to watch her in her current relationship, really like stand in this beautiful balance. So I want to give her props, but she didn't raise me that way. I was raised with that misuse of masculine power, and to be angry and to have to fight back, and also just not be heard, not be seen, right? Just, there was two options: shut up and do what you're told, or get the shit beat out of you. Like, that was the options. And that's how the masculine showed up for me. So I was terrified of the masculine. So I wanted to like get in there and do it better. And I really hurt a lot of men. I hurt a lot of my relationships, and it made me feel like really bad. So in 2011, 2012, I really recognized this. My hormones were so off that I was like, I want to heal this. So where's the basis of it? And I was really led to understanding this masculine, feminine aspect within myself. And what it led me to is to understand that I didn't understand the divine feminine at all. I understood the faux feminine. I understood the feminine that wanted to be like a better man than the men. And I understood how to just not lift my man up, not in the way that I wanted to. And there was other dynamics to my relationship, but I just wasn't pleased with it. So then I started learning about the divine feminine, and Esther is a beautiful, beautiful revelation. So it gave me a lot of permission to do things for myself that were absolutely loving and nurturing and pampering. So they spent a whole year preparing Esther to meet the king, right? A whole year to meet King David. And they gave her milk baths, and they did her hair, and they took care of her body, and they taught her how to receive, and they taught her how to surrender, and they taught her how to open up into flower. And then the Song of Songs, how to be beautiful, how to let a man take you, how to have an orgasm, how to open up to your fullness, and how to step into that, and how to receive that for yourself. And so this is just a beautiful dynamic of the divine feminine that is not talked about, right? Is not celebrated enough. And this is how we get to receive from a man that's fully in his divine masculine, that's not in his faux masculine, which we'll talk about in a second, that's not projecting his faux feminine, which is, a counterpart to the masculine, but is like truly there to be the container. The female is the receiver, right? If we think about how the dynamics of the masculine and feminine work, then the masculine is the plug and the female is the grounding unit. It is the receiver. We take that information, we assimilate it, and then we birth it out into the world. We are that incubator for life itself. And then we give life to life. And so we take our ideas, we take all this energy and we receive it. But if we can't receive it with pleasure, with love, with awareness, with trust, right? With trust, then it is really challenging to do. So the first and the most challenging thing for me to know is what I desire, right? What I want and what I desire. So often my clients come to me and they're like, I don't even know what I want. I'm like, what do you want? I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. So the first question to ask yourself is like, what do you want? What do you want to receive? And then how are you going to allow yourself to feel? One of the biggest things I remember crying I was in my first coaching certification program, and we were walking through this principle, and I was just crying to my coach, Chris, and I was just like, I can't give myself pleasure. And it was really about working out. She's like, what if you did a workout that you really enjoyed? And I'm like, I can't. Like, I need to work out 3 hours a day. I have to do 2 hours of meditation. I have to do. It was all in the masculine. I have to do. There was absolutely no being. There was not permission for me to just sink in and be whole. Right? It was just this pressure from the outside world that I felt, that I took on, that was literally throwing me off of balance. And this happens to my clients all the time. So the first question that I ask is like, what do you want? And how can you give it to yourself? The second thing is pleasure, right? So Esther is like, she's being pleasured. There's nothing more that the king wants to do for her than to please her. And she was completely open and able to receive that gift. I remember when I first started receiving gifts, and my first thing was, especially from men, okay, and my first thing was like, oh, what do I owe you? What do I owe you? How can I pay you back? And there's so much dynamics in the misuse of power of men expecting to be paid back. And so they're not receiving the gift that they get of doing and being. But when a man can fully give and a woman can fully receive that, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, like the men in my life, they tell me, oh, thank you so much for receiving that. Thank you so much for giving that. You just see their face like light up with like, yes, like, oh my gosh, because they're hungry to be able to give to you. They're hungry for you to receive what they have to offer you, because they are providers. They are providers and we are receivers, and we take what we receive and we turn that into something delicious. We turn it into a home. We turn a house into a home. We turn their love into a baby, right? We turn their gifts into something that is going to truly feed and nurture us. So I had a need, and my man provided a need for me, and I was like really wanting to receive it fully. And when I first got the gift, I received it fully with so much gratitude, and it shifted. And I was like, but what do I desire? Like, how can I make this gift, this sacrifice that he's giving me, like, means so much to me, that he knows that it's anything. Like, how can it gift me constantly, where every time that I have it, it's like there, and I'm feeling it right here in me as I'm holding this. And all of a sudden I just was like, oh my gosh, what do I really desire? And I desired a kayak. I knew that was my biggest desire. And not only did I get a kayak, and I got a kayak for the price that he gave me, I also and it was a different price than was on there. It's also purple. It's also called Ascend, right? It's a friggin' Ascend, and it's about 10D. So I'm just like, dimension 10 anyway, which has a whole different mention. Like the thing is like the most beautiful gift in the entire world. And I just light up. So it lights me up from that desire, right? So So learning how to receive from a place of we're not going to owe, there's nothing to owe, there's nothing to do in return, and allowing the masculine, allowing the men in our lives to once again, which is something that used to happen in the day, provide and protect and love us is truly going to balance out your hormones. It's going to lower your stress levels. It's going to give you more peace and more joy. It's going to help in your relationships. It's going to light you up, and it's going to light your men up. And it allows them to step more into this masculine, their divine masculine, right? And this is so beautiful, but it starts with knowing what you desire. Then it starts with how do you receive pleasure? So there's a couple of different things for me that are like mandatory. One, my toenails. My toenails are mandatory. Two, I love lashes. I love lashes. I don't really care about makeup that much, but I love my lashes. They make me feel sexy. Knowing how to step into that sexy, because that's one of Esther's secrets, right? They put her out there and she felt sexy. She felt confident. She felt beautiful. How do you do that? Both in your body, in your mindset, in your emotions? Like, what does that feel like to you? What are you projecting? What does love feel like to you? This is the divine feminine, and being in that center, right? That center channel breathing, being in that center. So then you're coming from this place. And then there's another awareness from an etheric projectant, and that is being in our heart center. The divine feminine is in your heart center. And this is the divine masculine too. But we're in our heart center, and then we're in our womb center, which is different from your yoni, which is different from that root lock. It is in that second lock. It's right underneath your belly button. You can pull that in. You can feel that power. It's that gut intuition, right? When you need to know where to go, when you need that, men don't ask for directions, right? Women feel directions. And a really great man in his divine masculine is going to know that. And they're going to go, oh, baby, where do we go? Right? Tell me where to go, because we feel it. We are aware of that when we're in our feminine, because we're really deeply connected to our womb space, to that life force. So connecting and working with your heart space and your womb space and beginning to resonate from that is such a beautiful thing. So I'm going to go more into teaching that in the holistic certification program, of course, but also in the free training that I'm doing. So if this interests you and you want to go deeper into it, sign up for that. You might not know that you want to be a coach, right? Or you might just need this information for your own career. I do have a previous coach or career-based pricing for that, just so you know. I had a hairdresser actually reach out to me. She's like, everybody that's in my chair, it's so funny, I used to be a hairdresser. She's like, everybody that's in my chair talks to me about all of their stuff. I would love to know your information, but I don't want to go through the business or anything. I don't want to change careers. I just want to know how I can like really best serve them while they're in my chair. And improve myself along the way. Could I go through your training? I'm like, absolutely, right? And she'd go through the 6-month track, which is super awesome. All right, so let's talk about the divine, let's talk about the faux masculine. The faux masculine. Oop, no, put my feet back down on the ground. All right. So I believe that a lot of the faux masculine has happened in the world. One, because it was that time in history. And two, there are really crappy women in the world, and there are really crappy men in the world, and they're not going to know this information, and they can misuse this information, and it's just bad. It takes a lot of responsibility to know this information. So I'm putting this out there in the world with real trust that you're going to use this information within yourself and with others to really know, use it for your highest good. So the faux masculine is controlling. My way or the highway, which is really a very insecure way of being, actually. The faux masculine misuses their power, and the testosterone body is more powerful, period. They can lift more, they can move more, they are just more friggin' powerful. I mean, you can have like, I know some men that just are small men, they have small frames, and they can fucking outstrength me like no problem. Like the most powerful people, I'll friggin' pick up a goddamn tree and move it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we're the same size, right? They're like, boom. And I'm like, and that's testosterone. So they misuse that power. They misuse their sex, right? Because they have that thing. We are the receiver and they have that thing, right? And they misuse it. They force it on us. And they're angry. They come from a place of do. And this is natural for a man. Like that's actually their strength, but they do it in a way that is forceful and doesn't have boundaries. They also feel like they're better than, they don't have respect for the woman. They don't listen. And they just misuse their power. Now, this is so important to know. There's also been, that's like the faux masculine, right? And the faux masculine feels that way for two reasons. One, because some men just suck, just like some women are just bitches. It goes both ways. But also it's happening more today because the faux feminine has fought back. So the divine masculine is no longer honored, ladies, is no longer seen. We're not sitting back and allowing our men to do what they do. We are castrating them by telling them that they're this way and making them wrong for being men and expecting them to be little women. And it has truly, I believe, damaged the world. Because more men are not assholes. I believe more men they just want to be a man. And they're there to provide for us. They're there to protect us. They're there because they are single focused, so they can see women, we are all over the place. We can multitask. We're the natural caregivers, right? So we're all over the place. We can care for 6 babies, our man, make dinner, and listen for the bear outside. And that's our job. This is our natural estrogen rich job. But a man is single focused, so they can go out and fucking kill that bear, right? A man is single focused, so he can provide for us in a way that is the most streamlined, direct, beautiful way. So if I want to get from point A to point B, I'm going to listen to my man. And sometimes he's coming from a place of intuition, and he doesn't really know why I listen to him sometimes. But sometimes just because I know I'm coming from a place like Oliver here, and he's coming from like this direct line of single focusedness. And this is so important. Like if your man is doing something, ladies, and you want his attention, and he's like into his project and you want his attention right then, you got to ask for his attention. Because if you go in there and you expect him to be a little woman and be able to multitask and do 6 things at once, and you take offense because he's not paying attention to you because he's in his video game or whatever, he's not doing it on purpose, most likely. He's doing it because he literally can't focus. His brain doesn't work that way on more than one thing, because he's that strength. He's that provider. So he is like, boom, I'm going to do this task and I'm on it. Understanding that is really important, and understanding that and remembering that when your man is like, at a concert or something is important. So, however, there are ways that as a woman, we can have deeper relationship with our men, still honoring this part of him that we haven't been taught, but they were taught in the 40s. They were taught in the 20s. They were taught, right? These are our grandparents knew how to say, hey, babe, can I have your attention for just 1 second? Hey, this is what I need in order for me to feel like I'm special and that you care for me, and I need to feel that way. So I'm not like getting angry, right? So I don't overreact, because I really don't want to overreact. But as a woman, like sometimes I can like get Twitter baited and overreact. So in order to stay in my divine feminine, well, you just stop what you're doing for just a second and bring your attention to me. Right? Like that's an ask, right? If in order to do that, when you get home, can you just text me, hey baby, I got your message, right? Even though you are single focused in that moment, I want to honor that moment. Right? Instead of saying, oh, why can't you just pay attention to everything at once, and getting angry and upset and losing our shit on them like we do as women, because we're multitask and we get overwhelmed very easily, and we get in that faux feminine that's overwhelmed, instead of saying in the beingness of our feminine and showing up. Now, so what do they do? What do they do when we get in our faux feminine? They get into their faux masculine, right? And their faux masculine is like, you don't understand me, and you're just treating me like this, and fuck you, and be this way, and be that way, and do this, and do this. And if you were just this way, then that, whatever, right? Because they're single focused and they're trying to tell us how to be, and they come across, and then all this is happening. It's just this. So we need to learn how to be women, and honor our men as men. And men, it is huge that you also do the same for us, that you learn that how a woman is, and not treat us like objects, and really know how to honor us, and be that safe container for us, so we can fully be in our feelings, so we can trust our intuition. And you do that by honoring your heart center and your pituitary, your brain, because you're the visionaries, right? You can see from that point to that point. Now, there's a reason why certain careers have been historically more masculine. And it's not because women can't do them. It is because men can see things differently than women. Men naturally, with their brains, come from a place of being able to figure out like how to get to that animal and shoot it, right? How to get food, how to move the tribe from this place to that place. So they can see how to build the house. They can see literally how to get from point A to point B in a more direct route, right? So when my man says, I think you should do this, and this is my suggestion, I'm like, oh, that's point A to point B faster. And I feel into that as a woman, and I feel into that, into my ovaries. And I'm like, oh, into my womb space. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's truth. And when it opens, I know it aligns with my truth. And then I walk that way without question, because I'm looking at all the different tasks and all the different pathways. Now, when a man needs to see outside of his scope of vision, when he feels trapped, when he needs a different route, when he feels overwhelmed, he can turn towards his woman and say, how can I do this? And she goes, oh, this, we can do it all at the same time. This is how it integrates, boom. And he goes, okay. And he can look at it task by task without getting overwhelmed. I talked to my best friend, one of my dearest friends, teacher at your own university, Jess, this way. It's very boom, 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 boom. His divine masculine is like, push there. And being able to communicate with him over the last 20 some odd years, studying masculine and feminine with him. Well, we've had periods of time where we didn't talk, and we're in our own development of our own personal understanding of masculine and feminine. But overall, like knowing what I know allows me to really give him task by task and honor that masculine in him while seeing that whole spectrum, while listening to him giving me point A to point B, right? So I can go, oh, boom, and interact with that. So this is with friendships like I have with Jess, as well as with romantic relationships, and that lifetime partner that you're wanting to really trust in that way. Another really funny story that this happens all the time is like, I'm really good with like spatial awareness, very, very good with spatial awareness. But I am really bad at going hiking and stuff and getting into wilderness and just getting lost. I just get lost. And I usually find my way out, but it is such a huge blessing to be able to be with my man and be able to be like, it was so funny because we went on our first hike ever, and I was like, I just want you to know, like, I know this hike inside and out, but I totally get lost, because he was talking about his GPS and like how he doesn't get lost. And I was so turned on. I was like, total man, like knowing how to get there, right? And I was like, yes. And I told him like, oh, I get lost. And oh my gosh, I got us lost, like beyond lost. I was laughing so hard. We were like 3 miles outside of the zone. And it just told me like, this is me in my beingness, like absolutely present with like just being spatially aware, but totally multitasking. And from that point on, I just drew that boundary and I'm like, hey babe, when we're hiking, which is a lot, I'm like, when we're hiking, like you're in charge of where we are. Like, it's just you. And I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to try to argue with you. I'm not going to bitch at you. I'm not going to try to outsmart you. I'm not going to lead with my faux feminine, right? I'm going to fully be in that trust and we're going to figure it out. Right. And it works beautifully. It's a beautiful dynamic. And that is ways that women, we try to just overrule our men too much. And we do this with sons too. I hear my teacher, one of my coaches and teachers just did a talk on this. It was funny because after this happened to me, like she did a talk and was talking about her son doing this with her. And I was like, oh my gosh, it just happened to me. But she's really working with her, Kristen Sweeney Morelli, and she's really working with her son and noticing how she demasculated him and how now she's allowing that more responsibility. She's leaning into that trust. She's allowing herself to be in her feminine and him to be in his divine masculine. And just life is easier, guys. Life is easier. So to stop blocking one another, men, I just ask you to be bold in a way that's loving and really protective and safe, creating that safe, protective environment for us as women, so we can relearn how to receive and relearn how to be that. And that's a way that you can lead us in understanding and trusting and redeveloping trust in the divine masculine. And this is such a huge dynamic for us in relationship right now in the world, to recreate this balance both at work and here, to trust men to not abuse their power, but to be in your power and to provide with your power and to do. So the masculine is the great doer. It's action, right? You guys are in action. You're out gathering and hunting and providing. And you're the great doers. So to trust you to do what you're supposed to do and be in that action and get up and do you, not be on the couch, you guys, not be in the overly sensitive feminine, but to get up and do your doing stuff is going to feed your soul. It's going to balance out your hormones. It's going to help you release weight. It's going to help you feel more confident. It's going to help you make more money and manifest more money from your spot. It's going to help you to just feel better about being a man. It's going to help your woman feel really safe and secure, and it's going to help your daughters feel safe and secure, and it's going to help your sons step into their masculinity and do their thing. So you know how to do it, just honor that and really lead by being that protective vessel, but educate our women, because we don't know that you're single focused. We don't know, it's not talked about enough yet that you're single focused. We don't talk about enough that you're a doer. We don't talk about enough. Like, I know that I learned that most men need tasks. They need goals. They need something to move towards in order for that fullness to happen. They need that destination. They need that boom to go forward. And women, we need this too, but we benefit more from that support system of them, of knowing where their goal is, and then being in that beingness for us. And we can, when we're in our mask, I'll get to that in 2 seconds. Oh, this class is going to be long, but I have so much I want to share, and I think it's important. So men, you can really educate us on that. Find those tasks for yourself, be self-responsible for yourself, and then educate your woman that oh, when you come up and you're nitpicking at me and you're nagging me and you're getting upset with me because I'm not feeling enough or I'm not doing, right? Like, remind them, like, I'm a visionary and I'm a thinker and I'm logical, and this is where I'm coming from. And let me tap into my heart for a minute and meet you in the heart, because that's where we meet, guys. We meet in the heart. Hey, we meet in the heart. The men have the pituitary, the vision, that third eye awareness, and we come into womb space women, and we both meet in the heart from those two spaces, oh my gosh, the unity, the sex is off the charts. Like, boom, let's make magic happen, right? That's relationship there. That's relationship. Whew. I'm hot just thinking about it. So that place of honoring. Now, women, remind your man that you're seeing full picture. Remind your man that you are gifted to help him to find pleasure in his life, to connect with pleasure in his life, to stop for a minute and be, right? To stop and be with him. And you do this by joining him in the doing and then reminding him how to be in the moment and step back into that with you and holding the space for that. Be receptive to his gifts, truly receiving them and not feeling obligated to do something back, but receive them from the place of absolute receptivity and not from a place of the faux, which would feel like we owe them something. And men, don't give from a place of they owe us. Like, don't take a woman out expecting sex. Don't teach your young men to do that. Women, don't treat your daughters and tell them that that's how the world works. Absolutely not. We do not owe each other anything at all. Boom. The world doesn't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. And that's just not, that is all wounding right there. That is all wounding. So let's stop the wounding. Whew. I said that straight from my heart and I couldn't breathe. So let me breathe for a second. Let's stop the wounding and really honor each other for our natural gifts and educate each other. Educate your man that your gift is in being, and be happy. Create that happiness by understanding your desires, understanding your pleasure, and men, understand yourself by understanding what you're focused on, what you want to focus on. Really, mindset is so important for you because just like the empathic, the feeling set, our emotions, women, are so important for us. That womb space, the gut feelings, so important for us. And men, your visualizations, where you're going, so important for your focus to be where you want to go and not what you want to not focus on, not what you want to change and fix and control, but being in that focus of where you want to go, how you want to be, what you want to do, and really educating and protecting and providing, and doing that with what do you want to provide for yourself? What do you want to provide for your life? What's your next task? What do you want to accomplish? Is so very important for you to do. Keep yourself in action, men. Don't get stagnant. Don't get stuck. Keep moving. This is so important for you to live into that divine masculine. And women, sit back and be in your beingness. Understand when you're doing and pushing and things get off kilter, that you can sit back and you can say, okay, I am going to just relax a little bit deeper and understand, who do I want to be? How do I want to be? How do I want to show up? How can I receive more pleasure? How can I receive more in my life? And men, the same for you. How can I provide more? What do I want to provide? What feels really good for you to provide? And communicate with your partners, communicate with your employees, communicate with your bosses, communicate with one another from this place, and magic is going to happen in the world. And you are going to just have more empowered relationships. So we talked about the masculine, the feminine. We talked about boundaries. We talked about the true feminine, the divine feminine, the faux feminine, the divine masculine, the faux feminine, divine masculine and faux masculine. And we talked a bit about how to stop blocking one another, and then our biggest, greatest gifts that we can give in relationship. So if you want to know more about this, join our next class. It is going to be more private, I think. I'm feeling into that. No, it's definitely going to be more private. We're going to go deeper into that, but join me up there. And the link is above. And also, this is for anybody that works with people, really. Holistic coaching or holistic awareness, anybody that you talk to people. So other people that I've worked with that really benefited from the Amazing You program that took their awareness into their job is managers of anybody that works with people in managing. So you're hearing people's stories, fitness professionals, any kind of coach, any kind of therapist, any kind of doctor where you have a bedside manner, anybody that is doing a service. So even a bartender once took it and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm making more tips because I'm coming from my own awareness and coming from my own space right now. And she's giving better advice. She felt more confident in her job, and she was literally a bartender, which is pretty friggin' cool. She didn't want to be a coach. She made bank and owned a bar. So this is huge for pretty much anybody this training would work. Now it is a certification program. I don't want to like water that down at all. I really want to work with people that want to transform the world and step into their books, their purpose, their mission, and their voice. So you can step forward and do this. So this is a training for you. That's what we're ultimately offering. But this next training is just going deeper into how to coach in all these areas, how to step into this even more, and where you can come from and step into it and for yourself. So feel free to join. Thank you for your feedback. Sonia, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for your love. Thank you for saying so true and yep and exactly. Yes, I got those messages. I love you so much. I forgot. Okay, my last gift for you guys. So let me stand up. Let's see, can you guys see me? So muscle testing is a piece of kinesiology. It's something that I teach, but a way that we do this is you stand sideways and you say yes, 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 yes. And without consciously moving, you'll feel your body move forward or backwards, but usually forward for a yes. No, 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 and you'll fall backwards. So this is one way of muscle testing. Let's see if I get further back here. You can see all of me. All right, I don't know if you can hear me now. So we have this muscle testing. So the next piece in it is you're just going to ask. So you're just going to ask from this yes, 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 no, 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 no perspective. I don't know how to do this. And now my chair is moving. You're going to ask, what level am I in my feminine? What level am I in my feminine? And is it a, you can say 50%, you know, you can start at 20%, 50%, 30%, 40% and going on up. And then when you test no, you'll know that that's your stopping point. So you're at this moment and you can recreate this balance in yourself, because oftentimes, especially for professional women, I know I work more in my masculine energy when I am in front of the computer. And it's actually affected my relationships in a negative way when I didn't know how to educate my man about this. And I'm still learning how to effectively switch back into my natural zone. So then switch into the opposite and be there. So I'm about, I don't know right now. I'll test it and I'll tell you, maybe I'll put it in a post and tell you guys in another little live. But I used to be about 80% masculine and 20% feminine when I was at work. And then I'd switch and I'd be 80% feminine and 20% masculine. And so it felt like this flip-flop for my relationships. When I was with Jeff, we talked really openly about it. And it was a big deal. It was really hard for him because he has a really strong masculine. And so he'd meet me at his 80% masculine and 20% feminine, right? When I was in my feminine. And then without him knowing how to flip the switch and meet me the other way, when we got better at it, but meet me the other way when I was in my masculine, he would get defensive and go into his faux masculine, trying to get me back in my feminine. And it became this like horrible dance. And, it was really, really hard for us to work together, and we did work together. So it was like, right. And I couldn't be really focused and stay in my focus and stay in what I needed to get done and task oriented without being in that masculine, right? I couldn't stay in my visionary piece without being in that masculine. And so, and then I didn't switch over back into my natural state very easily. And I'm getting better at switching back over into that natural state. So you can test yourself, and I test yourself at work. I test yourself in relationships. I test test yourself, even with your friends, and kind of figure out like where your midline is. So mine is 80-20, or it used to be about 80-20. And when I'm out in public, like I'm fully like, I'm like totally girl. I'm totally girl. And I'm so easy and so fun. But then when I get serious, like I'm like, boom, right? And to be in a relationship is to understand that you're with somebody that has that switch. So you'll have that switch. Men, you'll be like, oh, you're just in your being and you're chilling and you're relaxing and you're like in the space. And you'll be like, oh, and you muscle touch and you're like, oh, well, now I'm 80% feminine and 20% masculine, right? And I'm just chilling watching TV. Like, this is my time to be this way. And she needs you to step up and like do something for her. It's going to be really hard for you to switch into that provider, more masculine role, because you're like chilling, man. You're like, fuck that. I don't want to do that. So this builds resentment. But if you are chilling and you know that you're in your feminine, you're like, and she's like, boo, 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 honey, can you do this for me? And you're like, yeah, just give me a minute. Give me a minute. Let me change gears, right? And you literally just upshift and you come back into that natural state. And you could you feel that natural state of like, okay, now I'm in do mode. Then you can show up for your woman a lot better. And you can be like, oh, I'm in my flop, or I'm in another gear, right? I'm in another gear right now, babe. Like, can I do that in 20 minutes? Can I do that in 30 minutes? I'm chilling. I'm in my being, right? So it's just beautiful to know that about yourself, take that full responsibility, and then have that higher level conversation with your love and figure out where you flip flop. And in each relationship, I find like I flip flop and I match and we mingle one another. So I'm interested to figure out where I am with Bear, because his masculine and feminine might be different. And so I might be resonating at a different level of masculine and feminine, which might be easier for me to switch back and forth. I don't know. We'll see. Sonia says, it's tough for me to accept help from men. I guess it's because I've been doing it for myself for so long. Yeah. And having a full-time role and missing half my son's lives, 3 young men now. However, at times it seems necessary. Yeah, so there's times, and especially as single parents, that we have to play both roles, right? So we have overdeveloped our masculine, and in doing that, we've also sometimes not healed fully pain. I don't know if this is where you're coming from, but pain from old relationships where we were with somebody who abused their masculine. They were living in their faux masculine, that over-controlling, overbearing, overpowering, action-focused, critical, practical place, right? And so if you're coming from that, and then you had to take over and be in your full masculine with that as your example of what a masculine is, it can be very challenging, because it's about shifting that dynamic in yourself. So getting out of that place and forgiving yourself for having that relationship of the faux masculine being really pushy and powerful and picky, right? You know, those women, they're like really bitchy and picky and they're boom, 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 but they get shit done, right? Boom. Like they're like in the government, boom, 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 getting shit done. But they're in their masculine, and usually in their faux masculine, because they're pushing against the dynamic of the masculine in the world. Well, if you just sit back from that and you're like, okay, what can I take from this and be in my power and be able to get things done from that single focus without having to force that? And then start playing with, where's my pleasure? What do I desire? Who am I? Because you might not desire what the world's feeding you right now. Men might still be showing up in a way that isn't fully beneficial to you. It took a shift for me. I had to get rid of a couple relationships, and then I watched men show up for me in a different way. And most of my friends are men, and my men show up for me. They are fucking incredible. I love you. 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 But it wasn't always that way for me. Men would show up in that like really pushy way. But as you shift and change your dynamics, then the men that show up in your life will shift and change too, because we're attracting that energy, right? So we can balance each other until we're finally coming into that kind of soulmate, ideal kind of 50-50 where we can really boom, 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 boom together and have this dance. And it might be 45-65 and back and forth, right? But we're more center-lined and we can do this dance in relationship. So my first question for you to ask yourself is to go back and just be like, what do I desire? What feeds my soul? What makes me feel beautiful? What can I do for pampering? If you're into it, go and read Esther, read Song of Songs, and just really embrace that you're beautiful, that you're the divine feminine, and stand for that in yourself. And then when a man shows up and he's not treating you that way, just be like, either bye, right? Thank you for showing up and showing me how I was, bye. Or just, it's, you know, this is how I respect, like, this is, can you show up this way for me? Have that divine masculine conversation if you think they can handle it, right? And be like, oh, babe, I'm sorry. You know, if you've been treated like shit by women and castrated forever and you feel like you have to be pushy or really like prominent with me to get your way or be heard, because anytime that you gave your advice or you did that, then it wasn't received, or that you were given so much responsibility that you felt like the weight of the world was on your hands and you didn't have a team member. I'm so sorry for that, right? I'm so sorry that your power was misused or you were castrated and weren't trusted. But I'm not coming from that place, right? I fully will receive what you have. And I also will meet you. I'll meet you. And learning how to do that and learning how to ask for what you want. And we're going to go more into that in the training.